how old were you when you came to LA the first time?
19.
19.
Fearless. I was 19.
Woo.
I was young, but
Oh,
not afraid of anything.
man. And to me, I've never tried stand-up comedy, but I know what it's like to talk in front of people. And that's the scariest form of talking in front of people because you can die fast, man. And you know the feeling. Why did you pursue it? Just because of how successful you were as the class clown? You thought that would transfer?
Yeah, I did. And actually the first time I ever did stand up was in New York at an open mic. And I went to this place somewhere in Midtown. I think it was 34th Street. And I said, if I get one person to laugh,
Yeah.
I'm doing it again. And I got one person to laugh, maybe a couple of people laugh. And then I kept going. And like I said, I wasn't that great of a stand-up when I was 19, but I was not scared. I wasn't scared of failing. I wasn't scared of not getting laughs. I had a lot of personality and a big balls. I had big balls,
Yeah.
and and from one of the very first times when I did stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, the great director Gary Marshall, who did Pretty Woman and so many other films, Flamingo Kid, and
Yep.
he created Happy Days. He was in the audience when I was doing stand-up comedy. This is probably, I think, the fifth time I did stand-up comedy, and he saw me, and then he called me in to read a play he was doing, and that gave me confidence. And then soon after that, I did stand-up again, and I got called in to audition for something as an actor,
Wow.
like a dramatic actor. And more than any basketball that I'd done, more than any stand-up comedy, when I first read like the sides, the scenes, it was like, this is what I'm going to do. Like I
Really?
knew it the very first time. I was like, this, I'm going to be an actor. The comedy, I wanted to keep doing it, but I was like, this is what I was going to do. And it just made sense immediately. And I just was like, this is what's going to be. I'm going to be an actor.
Yet, I've always wanted to ask you this, and I've known you for a while, and I do love you. And yet, every time I've tried to ask you off camera about acting, you're like, it's no big deal. I've known a bunch of actors in my time, and just about all of them, male or female, take themselves very seriously. And when it comes to acting, you don't take yourself very seriously at all. Like you've done a lot of stuff with a lot of big people for a lot of big people, but you don't love talking about it. You don't feel comfortable talking about it.
Yeah, no, I do. I think because when you brought it up to me, a lot of times we're at sports stuff,
Yeah.
so I'm kind of in that brain.
Yeah.
But I love acting. I love actors. I love the craft. I'm fascinated by it because I know what works for me, but I love talking to other actors about what works for them. And there's different methods and sort of philosophies, but I think there's not one way. I think from all the actors that I've ever talked to, you might have studied, the Meisner technique or the method, but I think everybody sort of takes from different things that they've thought, different things that they've learned, different neuroses, different fears, and they sort of come up with their own soup. I love learning from other actors and talking to them about their process. My process is different from whoever else's process it is, and but I think that in general, I feel like for me, I do what I need to do for the day, especially film acting, television acting.
Yeah.
You have to pace yourself. It's not like doing stand up for an hour.
Yeah.
It's certainly not like doing a play. It's like sprints. When you're in front of a camera, it's like you're sprinting. You're doing short sprints. It could be a 40-yard dash. It could be a 10-yard. It might even be a 120-yard sprint. You have to pace yourself throughout the day. And if it's very emotional day, you got to pace yourself. And some actors, they stay in it emotionally. I've never been around one of these actors who stays in character. I've never seen that. I've been around actors who I think really stay in the emotion.
Yeah.
And stay in the vibe. Like if it's like a they stay in that. But I think everybody has their own thing. But I do love it, and I'm such a fan of actors and such a fan of the craft of it, and I have such respect for so many different actors. And I started as a fan, and I still view myself as a fan.
Yeah, exactly. So the first time you caught my eye, because Ernestine and I are huge Woody Allen fans, was in a movie that some of our younger fans won't know called Mighty Aphrodite. And you play kind of this palooka boxer named Kevin,
Mm-hmm.
opposite Mira Sorvino, who winds up winning Best Supporting Actress for this.
Yep, yep.
And you helped carry her to that where she needed to play off you. You were very crucial to the plot twist when you came in. It was a big role, and it was a big deal that he picked you to play that pivotal character because she's a prostitute and
Yep.
she's trying to fall for you. And it's very good and it's very well done. But I would think you would be pretty intimidated trying to please a guy who doesn't say a lot to the actors who are working for him, right?
He says, probably out of all the directors that I've worked with, he says the bare minimum.
Yeah.
He doesn't do it to make you uncomfortable. I think, the lore that people get is because he became so important to us. I think different people responded to it differently. The way my process, the way my situation where I got Mighty Aphrodite was the casting director called my agent, and they said that Woody Allen wanted to meet me for this movie, which was crazy. And I remember it was either a summer or a fall. It was a summer day. It was a summer day. And I went to his screening room and I met him. And the meeting wasn't even 5 minutes. He said he saw a film I did. He had seen True Romance.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, where are you from? I said, New York. And he said, I'm doing a picture in the fall. Are you around? And I said, yeah, I'm around. And there might have been a couple of more vague questions. He didn't tell me anything about a boxer or anything like that. And when I say less than 5 minutes, it was less than 5 minutes. And the same day, I called my agent and they said, you got the part. And I couldn't believe it. And I was excited. I was prepared, but I have a note that he wrote me. He said, you could say the lines or not say the lines. Just make sure they're real and you're funny. And I prepared and I showed up. The crappiest thing about a Woody Allen experience is that if you shoot the scene correctly the first time, he'll do it one more time and then the day's over. Like there's not hemming and hawing and there's not sort of discussing, and he doesn't really like that. He wants you to do you, and the writing and the environment is actor proof. And I couldn't have been more excited doing that, especially in New York. And I remember one scene where I'm screaming at Woody Allen was shot not too far from where I grew up. And I told my father, I said, Dad, I'm shooting, on 70 something street this afternoon. And he said, okay. I said, come by. And my father was across the street, 5 blocks from where we grew up, and watched me shoot a Woody Allen where I'm yelling and screaming at Woody Allen. And it was a great moment because it was a beautiful day in the fall, which is when he used to shoot all his movies. And I had an awesome time working with him. And I worked with him a couple more times. And his body of work is unmatched.
It's
I don't
unmatched.
think you could compare it to anybody.
Yeah, he's just a genius. I know people have other issues, whatever. I just, as a director, as a writer, as an actor, pure genius. And by the way, those words that he's saying, you can use your own words. He wrote every one of those words himself.
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
But he was serious. And the only thing was if you're going to go off the book, I remember I was I'm going to throw this joke in there. And you ever it's like if you're playing tennis or ping pong and you think, oh, you're going to do a drop shot and the person gets to it. He got it. And it was boom, boom. And I was he's in it, but he didn't care what you said. But you need to know that it's coming right back at you because he's as quick as it comes.
Did he ever say good job?
He did. He said, that was good. That was good. And he said, all right, we got it. And then I'm like, all right, well, are we going to keep doing it? But he would say, yeah, that was good. That was good. One time we were doing a scene in Small Time Crooks was another film I did with him.
Yeah.
And I made him laugh off camera, because he was on the side of me over here. and I can't remember what I said or improv, but he like buckled over and laughed, and that was a
Hey,
cool
well,
thing.
as you know, he was a really gifted stand-up comic himself. That's how it got started.
He's the guy is. I mean, Woody Allen's sick. He's so prolific.
He is sick great. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's at a great. You know, his stand up alone was ridiculous. His writing was ridiculous, and then his writing, directing, acting is, and then the roles that he made for other actors. You know, one actor after another actor would either win or get nominated for Academy Award or should have get nominated for Academy. It's you can't compare it to anybody. And the streak that he had of one movie every year for like I think it was
It's
30 years.
unbelievable.
It's
I mean,
crazy.
the production it's just the prolific. It's okay. Ernestine will kill me if I don't ask you about two other parts that you played because they're two of our favorite shows. Justified season 5, you play a villain opposite Timothy Oliphant, who was great, and that whole cast was great. It was a great show that had great legs to it, and you took it over for an entire season, which is hard to do. How much fun was that to drop into a very successful show and then take it up a level?
When I talk about great actors, Timothy Oliphant and Walton Goggins, who's
Yeah,
been killing it
they're
this year,
they're killing it. Yeah,
we with White Lotus and you know
yeah,
everything else that he's been doing.
yeah.
But those two guys were so encouraging to me and so ingratiating to me to come on to their show. And they were like, you know, to use a sports analogy, they threw me the ball and they were like, go, shoot,
They did.
shoot,
Yeah.
and keep shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a ball. And you know it was a great environment, but those two guys made me feel so comfortable, and I was so impressed with the way they showed up, scene after scene, take after take, both of them. And you know, I never really told them that to their face. I told them how much I appreciated that, but they were both like, I was like, these guys are top tier, and you know they obviously have done so much other work with Walton having you know one of the great years that I don't know if any actors had. But you know, they both deserve it because they're both giving, caring, and just sick, really, really selfless actors.
Do you like playing evil guys?
I love it. It's fun.
Because that
You
guy
know,
was
like
evil.
he was evil.
Yeah.
I've had the chance to play bad guys, and you know, you say things you couldn't say in real life, and
No.
you behave in a way that you can't behave in real life, and it's fun. It's fun, but I really don't have a preference. You know, it's all about you know what the project is. You know, I love it all, and I don't take any of it for granted.
Okay. Now we fast forward to Steve Martin, Martin Short. These are two icons,
Yeah,
and they choose you to play
yeah.
another villain, a dirty cop, in season 2 of Only Murders in the Building. I haven't loved the show quite as much as Ernestine does, but it's really well written and it is really clever and well done. And it has genius level sort of feel to it, vibe to it, because those guys, especially Steve Martin, is talk about genius. He's up there in Woody's category.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So how did that come about?
That came about similar. You know, it was a very they offered me the part, and I don't think originally the character was supposed to be in more than one episode.
Really?
I don't know if that happened before I got the part or when I, yeah, it was before I got the part. And then they said, if you did it, would you do more? I said, yeah. But, you know, the first episode of season 2 of Only Murders in the Building, there was you know, this crazy monologue where I get to sit down and I get to scream at Steve Martin and scream at Martin Short, and I'm cursing him out. I'm cursing out Selena Gomez, and
Yeah.
and I'm like, you did, and
Yeah.
and they just were, they were they were cracking up because I mean, I came in like I'm excited, like I'm hyped, like I mean, I'm ready to go, and you know, I know actors. I mean, but both those guys are workers. I'll tell you something. They don't. Steve Martin and Marjorie, they don't come to work not prepared and not ready to throw down. But I was like, like to use a boxing analogy, you come in the ring, you want to have a little sweat. In the rehearsals at the blocking, I had like a lather. I was ready to go. So I'm like, you F this and what are you doing? You this, that, da, da, da. And they were just getting a kick out of it and they were laughing and it just was so much fun. And it was so much fun to do that season. And it was so much fun to like, Selena Gomez is so sweet and so nice and such a big star. And I was so rude and disrespectful to her. My character was. It was hilarious. It was fun, and I still watch the show. I love that show. It was a great, fun experience.
It's really a good show, and
Yeah.
yet you have a denouement scene. I guess it was in the last episode, or maybe second to last, with Selena in a boxing ring.
Yeah.
Where you really get down and dirty with her in your conversation, right? And it was really. It was the showstopper of the season, I thought. And I don't know how you prepare for that. Did you memorize that? Did you vamp it? Did you freelance it? Extemporaneous? What?
I memorized it.
Yeah.
I memorized it first because you want to make sure that at that point I knew that they would let me sort of riff, but the writing was so good. And the director of the show, she had done a couple of episodes. And at that point I was very comfortable. And I just was excited to do it. I was excited where the character was going. I was excited that I knew that he was the bad guy at that point.
Yeah.
And I knew that I understood the irony of Selena Gomez's fame and what she means to her fans, and to be so disrespectful and so nasty to her. Like, I just thought it was so funny. And some of the times, like, I was so mean and so nasty, like she would laugh or I would laugh because it was so crazy. The character was so like amped up and, and neurotic in a way. Like he was so like felt, like he was so like had so low self-esteem to talk the way he was talking. So it was fun. I had a good time doing it. And like I said, I still watch the show, which is rare. Like I'm a fan of the show.
Is there any of that dirty cop in you? Not that you're dirty, but that is that part of your psyche at all? That the way that guy was. What was his name?
Creps. Detective Creps.
God.
He was fun. Yeah, I mean, I think that I definitely, especially the way with social media and and the way I'd come on your shows, like I'm aware of what I'm doing. I try to make it seem like I'm not aware of what I'm doing. There's been times where I've gotten my words have gotten ahead of me, but 98% of the time I'm very aware of what I'm doing and the tone that I'm at when there's a camera in front of me.
Yeah.
So I'm aware. I'm aware of it, and I know like for me, social media, or like when I'd come on the live shows with you, like I'm aware, like it's a show. This is a show, and there's so many things to watch and so many things to stream and click now. And if you're doing somebody else's show, I'm doing your show. We want to make it a great show. Yeah. If I'm doing my show, I want to make it a great show.
Absolutely.
And I never take that for granted. If you're doing an interview for whatever, you want to give the best interview, because it's a blessing to be invited on a show. It's a blessing to come on someone's podcast. It's a blessing to be, if somebody wants to interview you about a show or my podcast, or like I've never took any of those things for granted. So when the light goes on, like it's time to perform. It's not, like, oh yeah, Skip. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, I don't remember somebody. I want to give it the best opportunity for the show.
And you always do. You bring it more consistently than anybody I've ever consistently worked with. So I appreciate that, because you care about it. And yet you still have a basic humility about it, because you realize, hey, it's a blessing to get asked to do this, that, and the other. And you're wanted.
100%. I don't take any of that stuff for granted. I don't take any of that stuff for granted. Like I really I've always had a pretty good perspective on that, all that stuff. And I think it's disrespectful. Like, if you don't want to do someone's show, don't do it. If you're going to go on someone's podcast, give it to them. If you're going to, do a thing, give it to them. And also like sports and the Knicks and all these things. These are things that I'm thinking about. So you might as well, if you get a chance to talk about it.
Yeah,
I
why
love
not?
doing it.